Don't bite the dick that fucks you, honey. You got to learn to suck it funny. How those dicks all taste like rubber, covered with goo. Some comes clear and some comes milky. Some comes thick and some comes silky. Don't bite the dick that fucks you, honey. It'll be good to you.
And there it is. The intro to end all intros.
Savage.
Whatever viewers we have left, welcome to Let Them Burn.
We have
episode
viewers?
number. Nah,
Really?
they're all fucking bots.
Except
except McTubus. McTubus is
he's the one.
the only mainstay.
who's dumb enough to listen to this shit?
Fucking McTubus.
Sorry.
He's our head chat hole.
What he thought it was.
Yeah, no shit. Sorry, bro.
McTubus, your Delta
fine.
Tau Chi name is Pinto.
Oh my
It's gonna
god.
be one of them nights.
Yeah,
His
no
kid
shit.
you can. That's not good.
Half here might be jumping though. Kid is oh shit.
That's not good.
Yeah, go take care of go take care of the kid, man. We understand. Been
Yeah,
there.
Just put one in the background. You're not missing anything. You know that.
No, you're
Don't
really
go-
not.
Don't go take care of him. Just, put him on the couch with his head over the arm of the couch so that his mouth is pointing down. He can't choke on his own vomit. That's the best thing for him is to throw up.
Put the bucket under him.
Yeah, put a
put
big
the
bucket
bucket
down
on.
there and
You know
get
how it
back
goes.
here, motherfucker. We need
He's got like
moderation
7
in the
kids. He
chat.
knows what the fucking protocol is.
Yeah, it's like
You know,
you can't kill those things. I mean, you just can't.
you really can't, dude. Like you gotta try. You gotta try.
You gotta try hard to kill those things.
Yeah,
You do.
What was
They're
her
fucking
name?
resilient.
Anthony, or which chick was it that said it was a black dude drove off with their kids, but she ended up drowning them in the station wagon.
Right.
Yeah, that was a hell of a
Yeah, that's what I'm
fucking-
saying. They're fucking kids are more resilient than a fat girl, dude. You can't get rid of them.
Black dudes get the worst shit thrown at them. I swear to God. It's always a black dude who
This coming, Mr. Alabama. Fucking, you know it's in the bank, bro.
Already did that. Fucker just ate too much for dinner.
Okay.
Well, apparently mom wasn't around for comment.
Stop cooking them, fucking making them eat tomahawk steaks, then, bro.
Well, stop feeding them so much. They need a little
That's
cup
how
of
they
macaroni
grow.
and cheese
Don't
a
you know
day.
that?
A little bit
Jesus.
of mac and cheese, a little soup.
Rob.
Who do you think your kid is? Alexander Juan Antonio Cortez or what? Jesus.
Oh
give 'em some
shit,
fucking-
bro.
Give them some fucking Flintstones chewables and send them outside. Let them come in at midnight, go to sleep.
Some Flintstones chewables, some fucking NyQuil. He's good to go.
What the hell kind of dad are you? Jesus.
Piece of shit.
You're spoiling those
Parenting
kids by
vibe.
feeding them. Who feeds their kids?
He cares.
Right.
You care too much for your fucking kids. That's the
Give
problem.
them some vitamins and hose water. They'll be fine.
That's right. In fact, to send them out with a stick and a
HOSE,
rock.
not HOES.
You
Hose
eat
water.
what you can kill.
They'll pick up some protein from that hose pipe anyway. It doesn't matter. They'll be all right.
Ugh. This is some copper, some fucking
They'll get some,
Cesium.
They'll get vitamins, minerals,
some mercury. Bit of mercury.
radiation,
Mercury
Hey,
never hurt
boy.
nobody.
a couple spiders. It'll be all
Hey,
right.
there's your fucking protein right there. Holding his hair back while he's all, Dad. And Dad's over here laughing. No, son, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at these assholes.
He's
Daddy
millennial.
Longlegs can't bite you because they're too small.
These
Right,
these millennial power dads and giving their
No
kids
shit.
food. Jesus.
Fucking shed wind.
God damn.
You're not talking about anything I don't already. Well, why the
if your
fuck are you
kid-
bitching then?
if your kid doesn't grow up with a lazy eye and a little bit of scoliosis, you ain't doing your job.
No shit.
Fucking little bit of Down syndrome didn't hurt nobody.
That's
Get the
right.
fuck
Your
out of
kid
here.
hasn't got a twitch. There's something wrong with you.
I don't know about the rest of y'all, but when I date a new girl and she's got a little bit of a twitch, I think that's pretty kind of cute. So
It's
Dude,
fucking
that's
hot, especially if
goofy.
she's got like a mild tremor in her fucking hand.
twitch or a
Oh my
tick or
God.
something. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Like a
Dude,
just
I
like a
wanna
mild
take
tremor.
Tourette's, man.
Just
I
put her
want
hand
the
around your dick
Tourette
and just let her go.
Right.
This is
You
what
know?
you do. If she's got a mild tremor in her hands, you just wrap her hand around your dick and just hit her with a little bit of a cattle prod, about 10,000 volts, and let her go.
There's nothing like dating a Parkinson's chick that's got the shakes. I'm telling you what.
Oh my God.
That's
shit.
That's the best hand job you'll ever get in your life.
No, like the retirement home, that's my fucking wheelhouse.
right.
It used
That's
to be the Yo, it used to be the meth girls inside the fucking, trailer park, but
no,
the old ladies, they got that technique down.
No, those it's not even
Three
technique, it's
fingers.
involuntary. That's the great thing about it. They can be there
Yeah,
sleeping and
yeah.
she's jerking your cock, you're eating her tapioca pudding. It's like what is there a better date than that?
Oh
Not
man.
much.
Really?
If
Maybe
you want
beef, well,
some
maybe
granny
some
or
beef
beer
Wellington
and
apple.
checkers and take off on her scooter, you better your arms better be fucking
Just slap a fucking three horsepower Briggs and Stratton on that motherfucker and pull the cord.
Oh Jesus.
God damn. Best show ever, and we
Fuck.
came out all guns blazing right
We came in
off.
hot, bro. We came in hot.
Call it. Just call it now. It's not going to get better than this. It's all
Oh,
downhill.
it's
from
really
here.
not.
it's
You know,
not.
we're
Fuck
we're
'em.
like those Russian MiGs or whatever they were, fucking gassing the goddamn drone.
We came in overclocked.
Oh,
Fucking
Jesus.
computer nerds out there.
Oh fuck.
KZ. I'm way too
Oh,
sober for this.
KZ,
Yeah, we all are, bro.
wow.
But you need
We're
to catch up.
working on it. You need to catch the fuck up, old man. Get on it.
We're half a sixer in deep, bro. Like, come on. Get on our level. Fucking, I don't know what he's doing. Look at this motherfucker. Census talk of questionable women. I have been summoned.
Oh shit.
This fucking guy. So, how you boys doing it this week? We're on weekend eve.
You know, I'd rather not talk about work, you know, because work can kiss my ass right now. But beyond that, it's been pretty good. Saw Velvet yesterday. Well, yeah. Velvet came over yesterday because she's going out to Vernal to visit her family and shit. And it's like, okay, have fun with that. Because the belly dancer and I have a gig on Saturday. So it's like, hey, this kind of all just is the perfect storm of everything working out. It's beautiful, kids. Absolutely beautiful.
Nick, how's the election going? The election race?
It's a tight race.
It's a tight race.
It is a tight race. There's this, my opponents for the school board presidency, school board and ultimately the presidency, because it falls to my district this year, is, your typical, which is surprising for semi-rural Alabama, but we've got a fat blue-haired lesbian woke chick who's running. And then we've got somebody's grandma, and I don't, she's not showed up for any events. She's not given any speeches. She's not met the people in the district. She's not even met the rest of us, but somehow she's on the ballot. So I'm still trying to figure that one out. I think there's some subterfuge going on here, but I'm not sure what it is yet.
Yeah.
Have you tried fucking her yet to see if
I haven't even met her. I'm not so sure she actually exists.
I was gonna say, does she even exist? Is she even alive?
Right. That's the question. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think it's either some subterfuge on the part of the Democrats, or it's because I'm running, because school board is not really, there's no political affiliations there, but
Right.
it's kind of obvious what everybody is, and the woke chick is, some sort of, green Democrat socialist. The old lady that never shows up is the Republican. Yeah.
She's Roy.
She's the Republican, and I'm the
You're the independent.
Well, I call it the Nick August party, but yeah. So
we wish you the best of luck. And yes, McTubis, I saw your DM.
Is this the one that could eat corn cob through a picket fence?
Yes. These are my people. One. Yes.
Jesus, yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. I know. Yes, he shared it to me too. Yes.
I'm
just saying,
Dude, it's worth it until you get to the mouth, and then you're kind of like, God damn. But even then, I'm still
I
don't need any flashbacks to meth teeth. So.
No, these aren't meth teeth. No, she has all her teeth. They're just
not quite.
Well, she might be missing one or two.
No, admittedly, she needs Invisalign. She needs the Invisalign dentures. But
dude, she needs a little more than that. But hey,
she shows
promise. I like a gap tooth chick.
No, dude, well, you got to go check your DMs, Nick. It's all
there's gap tooth, and then there's Grand fucking Canyon, and she's kind of the latter.
Yeah, but she's a little closer to the latter than the former. But
Rob, you still would. Shut the fuck up.
Absolutely, I said that to McTubis. I was like, "Hell yeah, fuck yeah, would." And then but teeth, and I was like, "Well, just because she can eat corn on the cob through a picket fence never stopped nothing."
That's what a rain gag is for. That's what a rain gag is for, to keep the teeth away.
Here's a pro tip.
There's fucking tools you can use.
You can, everybody talks about, fingering a chick's pussy, but you haven't driven her wild until you fingered her tooth gap. And usually, if you can fit that little finger in there, the kinds of, the kinds of sounds she's going to make when you pleasure her that way.
Well, I'm just, here's the thing though, but you're still kind of playing catch up there, old man, because
you don't want
there is such a thing as ass to gap tooth. If you go ass to gap tooth,
what?
Ass
to gap tooth. What the hell is that?
Yeah. Finger that ass and go to her mouth and just fucking finger shit out of that fucking hole right there.
Fuck.
I make Rob blush. I'm sorry, bro.
I don't think that's not blushing. That's you've raised his blood pressure, and I think he's about to stroke out. There's a difference. There's a difference. That's not blushing.
There's a difference.
There's a difference between blushing and embarrassment and a stroke, just based on.
I never thought I could do either to him. Jesus.
Horrific imagery.
Bal did nothing wrong. Yeah, that's coming from a guy with fucking skin curtains.
She was there.
Hey, no, I'm not throwing any shade, bro. It's okay.
What I'm supposed to do? She was there. I kind of, the way I looked at it.
It just happened. It just happened.
Well, the way I looked at it at the time was, I had fucked up by not paying close enough attention to the warning signs. So I felt like I had to go through it to teach myself a lesson. So I tightened up the scarf. I put on the helmet and the aviator goggles, and I just said, I'm going to plow through this motherfucker, and I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow it to change me for the better, and that's what I did.
Wash over me.
That's what happened. That's right. And that's
wash over you.
I'm not going to lie. It wasn't a pleasant experience, but it is one of the keys to my success. So.
Who was it? Was it the Who? Nick, you'd know the song "Love Rain Over Me." Who sang that shit?
Oh yeah, I don't think that was the Who though.
What? Who was that?
It was one of those. Oh fuck, I can't.
Well, it's one of the older bands.
It might be the Who.
It was
doesn't
either
sound
them
like a
or like Pete Townsend when he decided to kind of do his own thing or something.
No, you're right. It's the Who. I
It's
think
The Who?
it's yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
Well, because I had to go and bleach my ears and eyes out from what Bull was saying. And so I come back to hearing you talking about putting on the helmet, the goggles, and the scarf and just kind of letting it flow over you. And that's what popped into my head is like, oh shit, you're just doing the love reign over me.
Right. Well, I mean, and the thing is, if you engage in such activity with somebody who has skin curtains in the manner and the
that one.
in the manner and the position that I did, those flaps are going to generate a lot of wind and a lot of lift. So if
And
you're
friction.
right, well, I mean,
and
but
friction.
so first of all, the goggles keep your eyes from tearing up too much, so you can at least
keep them from popping out of your head too when the vacuum starts.
And the helmet, or the leather flap helmet keeps your hair from getting messed up, and then the scarf just makes you look awesome because the scarf's flying back while you're
you gotta have a look.
Yeah, while you're bringing her in for a landing, so it kind of adds to the experience. It's kind of like performance art, but just for you.
It gives the song Beneath My Wings, Wind Beneath My Wings, a whole new fucking perspective.
Well, I'll tell you this. If I had to do it all over again, I would put some leg weights on or something, because that shit generates a lot of lift. And it's when you're
like a fucking biplane.
When your legs are flying up in the air and you're trying to keep you're trying to stay in the pilot seat. It's like you hit the eject button, but it only half went off, right? So
oh god,
yeah, KZ
fucking parachute.
Nick's the new fucking Jaeger.
I don't, I think Jaeger probably, for everybody that I'm aware of, had the biggest balls of any man who ever lived, as far as I know. But I think he was too smart to have done this, but maybe not. I wish he was still alive, because I'd like to ask him.
Yeah, that would be a question I'd want to ask him. I'd be like, Chuck, got a question.
Hey, Mr. Jaeger. Mr. Jaeger, have you ever taken a skin flaps over 88 miles per hour?
Oh, Jesus. Without a parachute?
She had a flux capacitor.
If she'd have had a flux capacitor, I'd probably be in 1952 right now.
Yeah, you probably, dude. No, you'd be back in 1852. What the fuck are you talking about?
Married to a quality woman.
Yeah, that's right. A real quality woman.
Back when they all had quality women, and men knew how to vet for them.
He would have beat him to the shed. He would have been the only guy in there with the shed.
Speaking of which, I don't know if now's their time or not, but Bull Rush, Rob, and I have been working on a new course. Is it okay to talk about it right now?
Go right ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a course for vetting your women so that you can, be sure that you marry a quality woman. It's called the House Coat Olympics. And basically what it involves is we've set up a house, and it's got it's fully furnished and fully set up as though a family of any size lives there. And basically all of the bed sheets, there's 3 bedrooms, all the bed sheets are dirty. One of the toilets
family of 8.
One of the toilets is stopped up. There's a lot of dirty laundry in the bushels. The kitchen is dirty. The freezer and the refrigerator and the cabinets and cupboards are fully stocked. And basically what happens is you drop your woman off there at 8 o'clock in the morning, say, and by 5 o'clock the house has to sparkle. There has to be a beef Wellington on the table. All the laundry should be done. The toilet should be unstopped. Everything should be back to working order. And she should look fucking good. She should be wearing a dress and heels and a pearl necklace when you come to the door to pick her up. So if your woman can do all of that in the time period allotted, then chances
8
are that
hours.
she's
8.
she's a quality woman, and you should marry her.
Just a little bit of background how we got this idea is when I was in the military, we used to do close quarter combat training inside these kill houses, that they had set up. It's like, and we're like, well, why don't we just make one for the ladies,
Yeah, it's
so
basically Kill House rules, but for women, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where the hell you guys grew up and what you did. I got my idea, my 2 cents to this whole fucking project came straight from the internet, straight from Twitter. It came from all these older women bitching and moaning and throwing statistics out there about how you're not going to make it if you're an older guy and you want to date younger women because younger women really don't like you. That's when I was like, Kill House for you, bitch.
Well, what I liked about all that,
Kill House for you, bitch.
What I like about all that, and I've not participated in any of those discussions because they're above my
Neither did I.
grade. But what I liked about all that is since I've been divorced, I got divorced when I was 48.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah.
now I'm 56.
Half
Half of the women I've dated have been more than 10 years younger than me,
Mm-hmm.
And now I did end up, for a girlfriend, I ended up picking one who was less than 10 years younger than me, but that's only because she was the best one for me. But
she had a great ass.
So I've learned my lesson on that. She does, but I've learned my lesson on that. But but I look at these things and I just think that's funny because it's like everybody, it's like you could throw out a statistic about how many people, can hit a fastball or how many people die in car accidents every day. Therefore, you might as well not play baseball and you might as well not drive a car because might die.
That's right.
And I think it's funny because those people are using that in a space where the whole point is to work on yourself, to distinguish yourself from the pack so that you can have whatever it is you want. And a lot of these chicks, not all of them, but a lot of these chicks also, they talk about, well, if you're not dating a chick 20 years younger than you or married to a chick 20 years younger than you, then you're a hypocrite or something, because that's what the quote red pill teaches. If you can even make that statement, the only thing the red pill teaches is for you to get what you want. Whatever that is, if it's 20 years younger, okay, go for it. If it's not, whatever. But, the whole thing is like everybody wants to have these arguments over shit that, it's like, I'm pissed off at, airplanes because they don't serve pizza. I mean, it's like, so what?
Well, it takes me back to something, and I don't remember if it was Royce who originally came up with the phrase or who it was. I know it's not original to me. It's not something I came up with. I saw it somewhere, but I was like, oh man, that's beautiful. I have 2 mantras, 2 rules, if you will, and Rob's iron laws. Rule number 1, there's always another woman. And so, if she won't fuck me, I'll find someone who will. Okay. There's always another woman. And number 2, when it comes to dealing with women, whether in real life or online, if you're not fucking her, then anything she says is amusing, it's interesting, or it's irrelevant. Okay. And you can even apply that to women you're fucking. That half the time it don't matter then either. Okay. But definitely towards the women you're not fucking, which is why I literally did not get involved in any of this bullshit with statistics and averages and all of that, is because I'm like, well, I'm not fucking any of these women. So why do I care? I don't care. I do not care. So fuck it. Let them say what they want. I ignore them, send them back to the void. Who gives a fuck? Anyone who engages them, guess what? You just lost because you gave them what they wanted, which was attention. So stop doing that.
Even when they say they're owned by a man, in their
Oh, or they have a, you know, I have a high value alpha male boyfriend. Yeah, whatever. Why are you online talking shit then? Go suck your man off, you know?
It's like, why are you not doing that already?
Well, but that's what I mean. But that's why I stayed out of it, because I'm just looking at it going, well, I'm not fucking any of these chicks. So what do I care what the fuck they say or what they think? And, you know, 9 out of 10 guys, you know, are, you know, you can lie with statistics, guys. That was the whole point when I did a whole little thread about con artists. It's like, you know, oh, you know, and this is about money. This isn't about sex. This isn't about love. But it was about guys who swindled other people. And what did they do? They showed them graphs and charts and statistics and bedazzled them with bullshit, to the point where you, as the mark, as the sucker, you don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And you're just assuming that, wow, they're smart. They know what they're talking about. Take my money. And then they did. And then later you admitted, fuck, I got swindled. Or they got caught. And when they got questioned, hey, what about all this? You got all these graphs and charts and statistics. Yeah, I made all that shit up. Same shit, guys. With all these stats and graphs, dude, I don't care. It doesn't apply to me. I don't give a fuck about your stats and your graphs and your charts. I had this conversation almost 3 years ago with a black pill guy, and I literally told him, I don't care, because it's not.
I knew a wise man once who wrote an article to "Don't tell me the odds."
It's actually called "Never Tell Me the Odds." I know the author, and I've read the article.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, because that's where it all kind of came from. That same guy talked to a black pill guy, and the black pill guy showed him charts, graphs, and stats. And the author sat there and said, oh, that's interesting. I don't care. Never tell me the odds. Like Han Solo said to C-3PO when C-3PO goes, do you know what the odds are of surviving an asteroid field? It's 3,950 to 1. And Han Solo said, never tell me the odds, and fucking went in. Same idea. Who gives a fuck about graphs, stats, and charts? Why the fuck do you care? Are you fucking them? No? Then why do you care? Why do you fucking give a shit? Why are you engaging? That's amusing, it's interesting, it's irrelevant. Let it go. Move on.
It's mostly irrelevant, though.
Mostly, yeah.
It's mostly irrelevant, or it's mostly irrelevant, or it's ammunition for you to use against them, to fuck with them, you know.
Well, yeah, agree and amplify. That's why I'm saying, hey, guys, did you know that 100 out of 100 men in a long enough timeline are not going to make it? Did you know that your odds of survival over a long enough timeline drop to 0? You're not going to make it in the long run. As Jim Morrison once was famously quoted saying, no one here gets out alive. So fuck it. Go do what you want to do. Okay? You're not going to live forever as much as you think you are. You're not. You're going to die much sooner than you think you are. So you might as well go and live your fucking life, because nobody cares. Okay? Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody's watching. They're too caught up in their own soapbox drama. So go do your fucking thing, whatever it is. You want to date younger? Go date younger. You want to date older? Go date older. You want to date a single mom? Fucking do that. Do whatever works for you.
Pillage and plunder to your heart's delight, because there's never been another time in history where it's been okay to do it.
Best time. This is the best time in the world.
This is the best time, dude. Like, I don't know what y'all are fucking worried about.
So like, there's no engage some angry
there's no judgment anymore. Like, there's no judgment anymore.
And even if about it is, who fucking cares? Are you fucking them? No. It's amusing. It's interesting. It's irrelevant. Who gives?
There's no consequences anymore. That's what y'all understand.
There you go.
There are no consequences anymore.
Well, and you know, I'm going to throw in my 2.5 cents is that for all of the return crowd, there's a reason that there were that thou shalt not commit adultery is in the 10 Commandments. You know why? Because people were fucking each other's wives a lot. That's why that's in there. It didn't necessarily come down from the heavens because it was a good idea. It's there because people were fucking each other's wives, which means there were a whole lot of not quality women who were still doing the laundry and taking care of the kids, but they were also taking some, dick from, Shlomo up the road. And you guys are absolutely right. It's never been a better time. And you can piss and moan about the fact that there aren't consequences, and there should be. All right. That's a conversation that could be had on its own. But the fact of the matter is, it's just like with with Rob's other mantra, which is, the government is the one true patriarch. You can be pissed about it if you want to. Go ahead.
Doesn't change anything.
Doesn't change anything. It's like, I posted a half serious tweet earlier today because this is the kind of shit that I see in tweets. There's usually something in there that's pretty good, and then it's encased in a lot of bullshit. So I figured I'd post my own like that. And it talked about, and it went, that, pleasure makes time seem to speed up, and pain
down. Yeah.
Pain slows it down, which is true. And then,
yeah.
The punchline was, neither pain nor pleasure affects a watch. So calibrate. Now, all that is more or less serious.
Yeah.
But then I follow that up with, that smartwatches are technological demons and you should learn how to use a sundial.
No, I love it because that's one of the things I love about Nick. He brings on the heavy shit. He brings the power. He brings down the thunder. And you're like, oh. And then he brings out some random bullshit. And then you're like, wait, were you serious or is this satire? And he's like, yes.
What is satire? What is a
right.
woman?
What is a woman? Right. It's your job to fucking figure that out. Not mine, not Nick's, not Bull's. Fuck you. Figure it out. That's one of the other ones. Never mind women. Jesus.
See, that's the thing, and that's the ultimate test for whether a guy is past anger and is in like the the Jedi Master red pill, whatever bullshit you want to call it.
He's stage.
Because you stop giving a fuck about the stuff that has always been and is never going to change. And
nothing. This is not new.
Dante sent me a pic on a video clip on Instagram earlier today, which is a perfect illustration of this. Is which one of my I love this. You guys who know me know two of the things I love most in life is playing guitar and fishing, right? And one of the things I noticed when I got on Instagram a while back was that you could be it's full of chicks in bikinis or in skimpy outfits who are fishing and playing guitar, and they're getting 500,000. They have 500,000 or 1 million followers. They get all this, attention. You could have a chick on there in a tight dress and heels playing, fucking Stairway to Heaven or playing some other song that's been around for 50 years that anybody who's been playing guitar a little while can learn. But they're going to get all the attention for playing some shitty song just because they're a chick and they have tits. That's the world. The world has always been that way. Back in the days of the 10 Commandments.
And thank God for it, though. Thank fucking baby Jesus for it.
There was an old man who was selling, dates and figs at one table in the town square, and there was a young chick with big tits selling figs and dates at another table in the town square. Guess who sold the most dates and figs? It was a chick.
It wasn't the dude. Yeah, it wasn't the dude. Dude, you know what? I'm gonna expand on that for just a second, Nick.
It was a mid with fucking D cups.
Unpopular hot take. Moses didn't come off the mountain and smash the fucking 10 Commandments in anger because he saw people worshiping a cow. No. He came down and smashed the tablets in anger when he saw when he came off the mountain and saw everybody worshiping an idol of a woman with big tits and figs and dates. That's why he got pissed off.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. That's why the 10 Commandments are there, because people were fucking. You know, that's why the commandment against adultery
Thou shalt not covet thy wife, thy neighbor's wife. Yep.
That's a good point. There's not only the commandment on adultery, but also the one on being covetous. The reason that shit is there is because those people were fucking each other's wives every bit as much as people are right now. There is no return.
They were living their best life. Fuck it.
There is no there is no return. If you want to go back to no penicillin and shitting in a clay pot, go ahead. You're going to have the same human condition that you have right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the only way you return, or retard, as Dante put it, you have to have a cataclysm. Because think about it. Let's look at history for just a minute. Okay. And I'm not a historian. I've never been a huge fan of history, but I understand a few things. So, you had the Greeks and the Enlightenment or whatever, and even the Romans kind of contributed to that. And then you had the bubonic plague, the Black Death, and the church rose during that time or around that time. And everyone got superstitious. Became about demons, devils, angels, and all the bullshit. And we lost, as a society, we've lost our way. But then we came out of it. We went backwards compared to the Greeks or the Romans. And because, like today, if we had a major apocalypse, we had a major catastrophe, something big fucking happened, the internet would be a thing of legend and lore. It would go away. It's fragile, and not everybody knows how to do it. Okay. You can reverse engineer a toaster and figure out how to make that thing work again. But you're not going to reverse engineer the network structure of the internet. Okay. That is something that would be lost to time. And several 100,000 years later, 1 million years later, we're back on track, so to speak. But for a long time, the internet would be gone. Cell phones and TikTok and Instagram, all that shit would just be gone. But the only way you're going to regress or return is you need an apocalypse. You need a catastrophe of major proportion. Whether it's a disease that wipes out half to 3/4 of the population, or you have a fucking asteroid hit the planet and it cause a mass extinction event. Okay. All the shit we've been talking about would be gone. It would be wiped from memory in the blink of an eye.
And guess what would happen?
Life would go on.
Life would go on, and the humans that were left and then the new humans that came after would spend every waking moment trying to do the things that would eventually lead to the kind of life we live now.
Right. It just be getting back to zero.
There's not going to be, there's no return. And then people say, oh, hey, I lost all of my family because they all cut themselves and on a dirty rock and died from tetanus. But at least women know their place now. It's gonna, it's not. This is here because base reality sucks. It's hard. It's very difficult. Nobody wanted to stay there. So incrementally over thousands of years, we got to where we are now. We would aspire to something similar if the people that followed took the right steps and were able to do it. And if not, then they would always be trying to do the best they can. And there would be some dude out there who's a fucking Chad who'd be fucking all the women, and the rest of you guys, instead of bitching about it on the internet, would be plotting on how to kill him. And that's
on how to kill him, or jerking off and spilling your seed on a rock while you watch him fuck her. That's just the way it would go.
or
You gonna
or they'd be fucking sheep.
Well,
which
there's
is-
that too.
Which is why you had so many shepherds back in the days, because at least a sheep always says yes.
That's right. That you can't say no when you're going.
There's this
Where's
there's this
when we need him?
There's this great song from back in the 20s, I think, called You Rascal You, and it's been redone and covered by musicians for the last 100 years. And, there's been some recent versions in the last few years. And it's all about a dude who's pissed off because he had a guy that he thought was his friend. And so he let him come stay in his house with him. And the dude fucked his wife. and he was all pissed off because the dude fucked his wife. But the truth of the matter is the dude was pissed off at himself and he was projecting on that dude. And that's the kind of thing that has gone on, for fucking ever. So you've got, you've got the dude.
You should have just embraced the Lincoln chair, bro.
Well, that's basically it. He put him in the Lincoln chair against his will.
Only back then it was like the Solomon chair or it was the Jesus chair or something.
There's always a chair.
Always. There's always a throne and there's always a chair. Welcome to your reality.
Speaking of which, people were posting pictures of President Lincoln as a black man this week, which I thought was hilarious because if Lincoln had been a black man, John Wilkes Booth wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near him because he'd have had 4 big homies in the balcony behind him, keeping everybody out from fucking with him. He'd have an entourage that would basically, keep him safe from anybody outside.
And if somehow, that slippery bastard Booth got by, those homies, when they would have saw the gun come out, would have been like, and they would have caught that shit right in midair type of thing.
Well, I mean, Lincoln would only been able to be killed by by one of his entourage. He'd have had to been betrayed and then assassinated by, one of them. And so,
no, McTubis, McTubis, no, he would have been hiding in a bale of cotton. Okay.
Oh,
nice. Well, that would have been problematic too, because those black homies wouldn't have let any cotton anywhere near. They wouldn't want to see that cotton. So they've been like, "What you coming in here with cotton?"
Where's Ryan when we need him so we can talk about coal posting since we're going there? Jeez.
Maple syrup.
Days gone by.
Motherfucker would have jumped out of a jar of maple syrup and capped the fucking lean. Capped fucking. Oh shit.
That would be funny. They had that movie a few years ago. I never saw it, but it was called Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer or something. Where supposedly Lincoln was going around killing vampires. They need to make one of those rewrite history movies and call it Abraham Lincoln.
Well, I don't know if
Pimp G or something.
I don't
Abraham
know
Lincoln Top G.
If you follow a YouTube guy, Razor Fist, but he put out a few weeks back. He put out a video about Abraham Lincoln being the first dictator in the U.S. And he was like, well, I'm preaching your choir here with Nick, but he was the first dictator in America.
Well, that's pretty common amongst all of the writers and the academics who are very much anti-Lincoln, especially in libertarian circles. That there's been a lot of shit written and discussed over the decades about that. A lot of books written too about the way he handled shit. There was a guy, one of the guys, a while back, who I think he even ran for president on the libertarian ticket, and he was also a science fiction writer. And I'm not necessarily saying I'm not necessarily endorsing him as an individual, but he had an essay called the American Lenin, I think it was, that was about Lincoln, and kind of removed all the emotion from the subject and based everything on Lincoln's actions and based his argument on what Lincoln actually did. And it's worth considering, because I've already made up. Long ago I made up my mind about all of it, but it's worth knowing about.
Well, the thing was, Nick, I don't know about you, but like whenever I took I took U.S. history in high school, and none of the shit that I was taught was fucking true, man. Like, it was only after the fact, many years later in my adulthood, that I went back and started reading about this stuff. And the person who put me on that track was my grandfather, because he was big into history and stuff, and he would give me books from his library, and he's like, hey, read this, and I started reading these books and stuff, these historical books, and I was like, holy shit.
Hell, just and for people who want to talk shit about that, just get Lincoln's own speeches and letters and read those and see what Lincoln himself had to say, which will be totally different from the narrative that you're given, especially in terms of public school, because history books are basically written to shine a certain light on what went on in the past, and they're written from a certain perspective. And Tubis is exactly right. There is so much about all of that is just political spin. And there are, I don't want to turn this into into Confederate night. I could, but you
won't get any pushback from here, bro.
there's so much. Well, it's just like, I don't like ranting about politics, even if it's 200-year-old or 150-year-old politics. But there's just so much there. Just read Lincoln's own words. That's all you got to do.
You got a fucking Yankee here telling you to do it.
And that doesn't take that doesn't it doesn't certainly it doesn't change anything. But if you look, what this really is about is the interaction between the federal government and the American people. And it's, really what it needs to be is part of a journey of study that at the very least begins with, the war against England, the first war against England, the war for independence, and then, the war of northern aggression, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
But also continue with like income tax, gun laws, the way all that shit was passed and the reasons for it back in the early 20th century, and just follow that breadcrumb trail up to the present. And it is, if you actually want to talk about this topic, then do that, because that's one of the most, at the very least, it's interesting. But more than that, for most people, I think it's pretty eye-opening. And even if you want to come down on a different side of it than, say, where I'm at, that's cool. But do the research, because there's a lot there that nobody has ever taught. School isn't there to teach. School is there basically to mold, and to mold you into a certain kind of person through a certain kind of process. And none of it has your best interest at heart. And we're all, most of us are products of that kind of school system, whether it was public or private, because most private schools follow in the same vein as well, at least until now, Anyway. Well, Mick Tubis is he's like the embodiment of a Sigma male. Whatever I think Sigma, I think Mick Tubis.
Yeah, it was just what I learned in school compared to what I learned after the fact was it was
Well, I mean,
almost like a completely separate.
I compare it to
fucking
what most popular books and movies teach about male female sexual dynamics and relationships. It's the same kind of shit, you know. You watch a lot of
Yeah,
these movies and shit, and the people
it's like
who are
watching a Notebook. It's like watching a Notebook and then
right,
reading
or
Rational Male. It's like
I mean, there's a lot of there's just so much there, you know. There's so much there that we subtly pick up by people who are just making shit up on the fly anyway. They're making what sounds good and what they want to believe, and they're putting it on paper, and they're creating plots and characters, to do that because they just want, they want a good story that'll sell. So, I mean, kids brains have been, just are washed in that shit from, the time they're old enough to walk around until whenever they decide to, break out of it, if they decide to break out of it, which, most people do not. We were talking before the show started about that individual who, sold his business and then bought a business for his, alcoholic wife who, they were on the verge of divorce, and he bought it for her in order to try to, give her reform her. And, it's the same mentality. It's the same kind of thinking,
Rob. It's gonna be all right, bro.
Such a good conversation. It really was, because I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
guys
to
every
catch our
fucking day.
And I like,
our,
we make fun of it, and we drag those guys, and they should be dragged, because dragging is a legitimate form of love and correction for, other dudes. Those of you guys who think you need support all the time, you're functionally women, you're mentally women. You need to be dragged, and you need to be dragged brutally and hard.
That
But
reminds
this guy,
me that
this.
Go ahead.
No, it's your
Go
night.
ahead.
You're the host. I'm just the guy who quits everything.
No, well, to your point, that reminds me a couple of days ago, some guy was talking about fucking groups for new dads, and I'm just like, why the fuck do you need that? Like, I didn't have that. Like, don't drop the kid, don't let him lick shit off the floor, and there's something else.
Well, what bothers me about that is everybody comes in now, and keep in mind, I don't know what the whole situation there, but that was a female who was asking that question about her husband. It wasn't that we didn't hear that from the husband himself. So
yeah, it was Kenzie. Yeah,
so we don't. Well, I don't like to talk about who it is, because I don't want them to think that I'm dragging them or being negative, because I'm not. It just kind of shows you that, the only dad, the dad group that I had when I was a dad, obviously, I had my dad, which, every single one of these men has a, value quotient. Everybody only brings so much value, right? I had my dad, I had my uncles, I had, the dudes that, that coach baseball with me, or whose kids played baseball with my kids, or, the dudes I hung out with at work or whatever. You didn't need a group. You don't need to have a group with fucking, meetings and
back slaps, high fives, yeah,
and a fucking Discord, and because the point is that there's. And it wouldn't matter if you did, because think about what happens when you get in a group. You get in a group and you ask a question, and then you're going to get about 10 different answers.
And everyone thinks they're right. Yeah.
And then the people who gave those answers start arguing with each other.
Yeah.
And then you go off and do
whatever you wanted to do anyway.
You figure it out on your own anyway. And, if you're a dad, you're going to be talking, you're going to be hanging out and talking with other dads at work and at the ball field or wherever it is you hang out, the gym, whatever, because everybody people who are all have a common interest are just going to do that anyway. But the idea that you just have to go find a group to do it is pretty absurd, because like Bull said, and I know there's this movement, and I think there's always been a movement, but the current incarnation of the movement is just that, well, life is difficult now. It's not like it was in the past, and there are so many more new challenges.
When it was better and easier.
Yada, 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 yada. But it's the same as it's always been. And you don't have to go to a class to know that, say you shouldn't give your 8-year-old, unrestricted use of a cell phone. Now, if you want to do that, I suppose you can, but that's stupid. And so there's this level of common sense that exists and that people pick up just from, watching the world. But the problem is that instead of being focused on, what's the best thing to do for my kid right now? It's more like, how can I shut my kid up? Or, how can I, everybody else got their kid a jewel encrusted cell phone and a case, so why shouldn't I? It's all kinds of bullshit like that. Our standards, and it really goes, a lot of it goes back to our
Joneses. Yep.
Well, yeah, it's and that correlates to what our standards for a good life are. And for me, a standard for a good life is having a decent home in a fairly safe place, being able to know where your next meal is coming from, having money in the bank, having the ability to do a lot of the things that you want to do, not having to, scrounge for medicine when your kid is sick. I mean, there's all this kind of shit. Once you hit that level, if you have the means and you want to go high luxury, I don't give a shit. That's great. But that doesn't mean that's a better life. It just means that, that's the kind of shit that you want to do. But our standard for what a good life is, really, it's always been the same. It's always been freedom from fear of not waking up the next morning because you're sleeping next to a rock under a tree and a leopard or a mammoth might come along and, kill your ass in the middle of the night. Once you get far enough beyond that, it's gold, man.
The whole thing about the groups and stuff, it whenever I read that post, it reminded me whenever my ex-wife whenever she was pregnant with our kid. And I came home from work one morning and she was on the laptop inside the bedroom. And I said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm on this this thread on Facebook about new moms." I'm like, "What the fuck is a thread?" Because I didn't know about that shit. It's back like 2008, right? I didn't know about this shit.
The dark age.
And I was like,
the infancy of the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2008. And I was like, what? I mean, I knew about Facebook. I didn't know there's groups and shit. And I just came home from like a 11-hour shift of working at a fucking grocery supply warehouse. So like I was fucking hot and sweaty and shit. And I was like, "What are you doing, sweetheart?" And she was like, "Yeah, I'm on this thread. I'm on this Facebook group with new moms." I'm like, "What the fuck is that?" She's like, "Oh, I'm just replying to this thread." I'm just like, "What the fuck is a thread?" And she's sitting there and showing me and stuff. She's like, "Oh, this is what we're talking about." And I'm just like, "Oh, okay." And where she was talking, and I was taking the top of her shirt off at the time because I just got home and I'm ready to fuck, dude.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah, I'm taking her shirt off and shit, and I'm just like, that's nice, sweetheart. I'm just like, what the fuck ever, dude. The fucking groups. What is these groups? Fuck off. Why don't you come over fucking naked for me?
It's basically,
like, I didn't care, dude. I was like, I just figured it. The thing was, like, I just figured it's like, oh, this is just girls talking to each other.
Well, for women,
this is what girls do.
For women, that makes sense because before they had Facebook groups, they had, soap operas and Sally Jesse Raphael and Phil Donahue.
Yeah. And Oprah,
that's how they
Oprah
that's how they connected to the Matrix back then. Now it's, now it's Facebook groups, but it really hasn't.
But I never thought in a million years that the thing is, like, I never thought there in a million years, like, it never crossed my mind that guys, like, at that point in time, I was never like, oh, I wonder if there's one for God. No, fuck no, dude. I was too fucking busy. Like
Men
I
only
was
do
working
it.
like
dressing your
10,
wife.
11-hour shifts at fucking work. And then, yeah. And I was fucking going to college at the same time. I was like, I ain't got time for this shit, dude. Like it never crossed my mind. I was like, well, the baby's here. When the baby comes here, I'll figure it the fuck out, you know? I'm like,
Well,
I'm just sat there looking. I'm like, yeah, this is nice, sweetheart. It's like, wow, okay.
Well, the
let's go
problem is
fuck,
that the village can't teach you how to raise your kid because there is no village anymore, not really, and we have to create fake
Never really
villages.
was, except
Dynamic.
for 1,000 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And dudes who spend the most time on the internet, like I spent a lot of time on the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s, but it was always on like gun forums or hunting forums or fishing forums, and I'd be like, hey, I'm trying to replace the trigger in my Beretta. What do I?
No, those were things that I used to go and look at.
That's actually problem solving. But what it's gotten to now is that there's one right answer. There's usually one right answer for how to replace a trigger in a gun.
Or
there's
not
one right answer
for catfish. Yeah, like there was a new catfish rig that I wanted to try. Yeah.
There's not one right answer for how you raise your kid from start to finish. I mean, there is, but you already know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, somebody on the internet isn't going to teach you. It's just something that you have to work through and figure out for yourself. Because if you don't,
that's what I always thought. I was like, it's like, well, I'll just figure it out whenever it happens. It's reactionary, but still, it's like I had enough.
Yeah.
I had enough, confidence in myself that I would be able to figure it out.
Well, I mean, for me, I decided I was gonna raise my kids minimalistically, because I generally, despite the fact that I have a few fishing rods, a few guns, a few guitars, guilty as charged, but for the most part, I live pretty minimalistically. So, I keep I have a decent house, but nothing extravagant, good car, nothing extravagant, that kind of shit, because that's just not what appeals to me. Now you can raise your kids in a much more extravagant setting, and you can do a lot, good example. I was talking to my son the other day because he called me up and he was having some problems with some things, and he and I were talking it out, and good job, Power Dad McTubis.
Good job, bro.
The
Power Shed win.
So one of the things we talked about was there are a lot of I have friends who, like, when their kids turn 16, the first thing they do is buy them a car, and then they help them find a job, and they do all this other stuff for them. And I'm not shitting on that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. My approach was that, first of all, nobody really did that for me, and I was able to do that for myself. And so I decided that the most important thing for my kid was that he needed to learn how to do that for himself, because I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and then where would he be? And yeah, he could rely on his mama, but what does that really do for him? Where does that really get him? So I basically, made my kid
do much for him, dude. Once he gets past the age of 13, not much.
Right. So my position was, you need to go find a job. It wasn't, hey, go talk to this guy at this place, mention my name, he'll hook you up. It wasn't that. It was like, no, you got to go figure this out for yourself. So is my way better than the other example I mentioned? I don't think so. I don't think it really matters. I don't think that one thing makes a huge difference, but that was just my approach to it. So, you can, and like McTubis mentioned earlier, if you've got a group where dudes are just kind of like swapping notes and shit, that's cool. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that, but I didn't need to swap notes with anybody to know that's the way I wanted to raise my kid. I had already come to that conclusion before he was, 15, 16, ready to get a job, buy a car, start being responsible for himself. I already knew that's how I needed to raise my kid. And so I think that it's not, there's this kind of prerequisite or this preconception about everything where, oh, this shit's really complicated, and if I don't get it just right, I'm going to screw everything up. Chances are you're going to screw a lot of shit up anyway, so fuck it and roll. If you truly love your kid and you're truly a decent human being and you're not a total jackass, and you show up, you take care of your kid, you take care of the family as best you can, on that side of things, that's still the best you can do. Now there's other shit about being a father and being red pill or dialed in or whatever, and that's another conversation too, and that is important as well.
The thing is, though, to me,
I am McTubus,
like
man.
that's
my legacy. My legacy is hanging by a thread.
To me, that's the whole point, and that's kind of the fun, and kind of figuring it out for yourself as you go along and for your kids, man. Like that's the fun part.
You're going to do that anyway.
It's like when you're going after girls. It's like the chase becomes the fun part. Like it's not the catching them. It's the hunt. It's the work. It's the work beforehand that makes it fun.
Well, I mean, it's like with hunting, and fishing. At some point, the pursuit becomes the most fun, but that's only because you've caught a bunch of shit already. If you're always pursuing and never catching and never killing, then it's an absurd waste of time. So so you have to be successful, but once you're successful, you start redefining what your next level of success is, but you don't get to do that until you've actually accomplished something.
Oh, right?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I've always, I've only raised one kid so far, so I don't know. Don't do what I do.
Well, I mean, my thing is that, there are a lot of people, there's as many different ways of raising a kid and dealing with circumstances as there is with the individual. And we tend too much these days to approach it programmatically, like we're writing code. If we do A, B, and C, and we don't have any bugs or errors, then we're going to produce D. And that's not the way raising kids works.
Well, the thing is, too, it's like, from what it seems to me, it's like most guys are too, I don't want to say scared, but they're too apprehensive to step out on their own and fucking make mistakes.
No, that's 100% it. That's really what it's all about. It's about people.
They take this mindset of like this mindset of it takes it. It's like they've bought into the fact that it takes a village to raise a child. To me, it's always I don't agree with it.
That's feminine. That's feminine thinking.
It's not for me. It's like I'm gonna raise my child the way I fucking want because he's mine. It's mine.
That's right.
Because
ultimately. Until they turn 18, you're the one who is held responsible for their behavior or for what happens to them. So it's your responsibility, right? So why would you subcontract that out to somebody else?
Yeah, I don't want to. All right, guys, we got a special guest coming on.
Oh shit!
Oh shit! Here we go,
gentlemen
of the North.
Ribney.
Yeah.
Evening.
How are you,
sir? Bro?
Yeah, 1,300 different names, but I'm still here.
How's it going, bro?
Yeah. It's good to see you guys.
Yeah, you too, man.
Yo, same here. So, what do you want to talk about earlier? What was it? War of Northern Aggression, or is it something else?
I want to talk
Who,
now. I
me?
want to talk now. I want to talk about McTubis saying, to be fair, that's not the way code works either. All right, you fucking spurg. Can I not use a metaphor as an example just to get the basics, out there? Are you turning into the spurgosphere too? Are you bringing that shit in here as a moderator? I used
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna make it,
defend you
bro.
and say you're the one guy I would never suspend or time out or yeet, but now I'm not so sure. I can't believe you're coming at me like that, bro.
I'm willing to give him a pass this one time because I'm a benevolent dictator, but you keep fucking talking like that, I'm gonna fuck his ass up.
Benevolent dictator is
Yeah.
code word for pussy.
That's a little strong.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Go ahead, Nick number 2. Let's go.
So he
What you got?
He just
What
get
you got for us?
he got ornery and bailed.
No, he
No,
got
I
yeeted.
fucking he got fucking yeeted. He got yeeted.
I was gonna say he got
you
yeeted.
you got 15 seconds to make a point. Go.
Oh, make my point. Oh, I got
Yeah.
stuck at a bar earlier today, and all they were playing was mainstream media on 2 of the screens. I was losing my mind.
Oh shit. Well, it's why you don't fucking listen to mainstream media, bro.
Oh, but just like
You don't do shit like that.
it's in the background for everyone else, and all of the misinformation was just getting me so angry. It was unreal. It was kind of fun.
Well, it's not meant for you.
I
That's
know,
the thing.
and that's the whole point. But you, I don't know. It's just so overwhelming that it's going to be impossible for most people to not succumb to it. It's just crazy.
Well, don't worry about them. Just worry about yourself.
Oh yeah,
Fuck the rest of them guys.
that's all it's been about for quite a while now.
Like you just gotta. The thing is, man, it's like you have to ask yourself: Is this about me, and why do I care? To take
Totally.
to see what Rob says.
and
Like, what do you want? What do you want?
just-
Does this shit apply to you? No.
Yeah,
Who cares?
yeah. Does it affect me directly? No. Does it affect my daughter? Yeah. What are you going to do about it? I got a plan. So, and just work on that plan and let enjoy the decline.
Yes, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Just enjoy
Yeah.
it.
When everyone else is distracted, choreographing the decline and oblivious to it, the rest of us are planning our escape.
Yeah, I mean, those other people are not your problem, bro.
Nope. No, took a long time to learn it, but yeah. What's Ryan's line is stop lighting yourself on fire to keep other people warm.
Oh, that's Ryan's line. That's that's Rob's
It's been
line
around
too.
forever. Yeah,
That's
it's
Rob's
been
line.
around forever.
I heard that from Ryan first, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a gooder. I still haven't. There we go. Oh, nice.
You got the
hollow
guitar
body.
out. Yeah. But yeah, I think because Rob's already told me, he's like, he'll just stand beside me while I'm burning, and but he'll be like,
Yeah.
Are you done? It's like,
Do you want a towel or do you want a match and a can of gas? Either way, I'm good. Yeah, whichever you want. Here
I mean,
you go.
you can't get more honest than that, man. And he told me that. I remember he told me we were sitting at a restaurant that he took me to whenever I went up and visited him in fucking Salt Lake. And we were sitting there and he told me that. He's like, I'll just let you burn, bro.
Yeah. Well, that was
I'll hand you a
It's like-
damp towel to wipe the soot off you, or I'll hand you a match and a can of gas and let you keep going. It's up to you.
And that's the most honest thing like anyone has ever told me. I was just like, after that, I was just like, I like this guy. This motherfucker here don't care.
nope.
Entertaining either
Yeah.
way for me. What do I care?
Yeah. He's like, I'll give you a match or I'll give you a fire extinguisher. Well, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Right.
pick
Either
one.
way, I'm entertained. And just let me step back either way. Yep.
Yeah, don't get no shit on me. Nick is that
Nick,
asshole
play
who
it
brings a
too.
guitar to the party.
I
Well,
love
it's
it.
better a guitar than a fucking encyclopedia like most of these motherfuckers bring.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh,
Is Nick
Jesus.
muted?
I don't know. Wicked Charlie Horse woke me up at 4 a.m. yesterday. You sure it's a Charlie horse or a heart attack? Because at your age, Sass, I don't know. It's kind of questionable. While the rest of us are playing sausage, he's over there strumming out chords from this here puddle of mud socks. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Puddle of Mud was a nice reference.
Dude, that's
He
my
really
time right
needs
there.
to
That's my
unmute
kind of shit.
himself so we can hear him. He's like, fuck you guys. You get to burn. Oh, come
Can't
on,
unmute
Nick.
your guest
I want to
because
hear.
Yeah, it's shitty. He muted himself.
Vol, can you unmute him?
Motherfucker, dude. I can't because I just tried to.
He did it at his end.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, on his end, bro. It's like you can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves.
Oh.
Fuck that guy. Moving on.
Yeah,
Oh, shit.
that's yeeting.
That is. Be right
You
back.
Piece of shit. Unless my heart is in my calf, probably not. Well, you have to have a fucking heart first, Seth.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. The fuck is this old man saying? Calf, what?
Yeah, good spelling. Yeah, they're all the same.
Jesus.
Yeah, Thursday's a tough night for me, but I got lucky and hit this one pretty early.
Oh yeah.
Usually I'm sitting at a local place, Red Corvette. She lives in the same little town I do. We just sort of stumbled across each other accidentally, so we end up in the same little bar lounge, and it's always a Thursday, and then we get the YouTube notification for this, and we're just like, ah, shit. We're at the bar. We can't listen. We can't. So, yeah, we usually just pop in the chat and become troublemakers. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, she fucking. How's her leg doing?
Better. Still the little walking foot cast, but yeah, it was pretty funny there for a while. She broke that on Christmas Eve, and then January 10th I had my shoulder surgery, so she was walking around in a cast and I had a sling, and it was Lefty and Peggy.
Well, there you go.
We picked up nicknames for a while. It's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, that's what you usually do when you get old.
Yeah, you got to fix stuff that you abused when you were a kid, right? That.
I mean, if that was the case for her, she'd be in a full body cast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm surprised she hasn't broken more stuff, but yeah, that was a big one. And just a stupid thing, just walking home from the neighbors.
Oh yeah.
Caught a piece of ice under the snow and down like a carp. It was terrible.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know what that snow shit is, dude. I'm in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah.
We don't get that shit here.
Some of us are wishing we didn't have to deal with it. I didn't have any last year. I was out of the country for the whole last winter, and this year has not been fun. Just, yeah, it's boring. It gets boring fast.
Well, y'all do have medically assisted suicide up there, so that's always a
Yeah, of course. Well, it's way less expensive than being a taxpayer.
yeah. You got it. Y'all got an out though, man. Because I know,
Yeah,
like,
well,
back in the day, 'cause, like, we had Dr.
Trudy's gonna put us in a hole
Kevorkian.
so deep it's gonna look good.
Yeah, I mean, join the club.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you heard our what is it? I think it's next week. I think Biden's coming up here to talk to Trudy, and it's going to be about borders and defense commitments, and yeah, we need you to throw more money at the Ukraine. Yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I just want a pet missile since he's fucking passing shit out.
Well, I mean, I'm
gonna put in my front. I'm gonna put in my yard.
Yeah, I'm hoping at the end of this, it's sort of like the end of the Second World War, where you could pick up a P-51 Mustang for $250. Well, I'm hoping to pick up a, AQC drone for $1,000.
Nice. That's what I want. I want that.
Yeah, I think if we all have them, then it evens the playing field. Who cares about handgun laws if I can fly my drone?
There you go.
And arm it.
Sass, no one wants your body, bro. No one wants that.
Well, no, but the reference was to science fiction.
Yeah, nobody still wants it.
Yeah, but it's fiction.
Keep. Don't pin that hate on me.
Yep.
Y'all keep Trudeau, man. We got our own problems here.
Yeah, Rob disappeared, and we got a muted guitar player.
Well, he's been muted for a while.
Yeah,
honest.
muted, yeeted, the same thing, right?
Yeah. You only get away with shit because we let them have. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Vote with your wallet. Vote with your feet.
I don't even think voting matters anymore.
Oh, it absolutely doesn't. And that's why you're left with your wallet or your feet, right? So where you spend your money and where, how you spend it and where you spend it.
Unlike the Great White North, we still have our guns. So there's that.
No, we still got them too. I got a nice little pile in the basement there. I got some rimfire, some semi-autos up to 270, 2 handguns. Pretty good. Yeah, we're not completely off the map yet. He's trying, but we're not off the map yet.
Well, fucking Nick.
Well, it's funny that whole weapons ban and all that stuff, it just sort of died.
Did it?
Yeah, I haven't seen anything about it for quite some time because they put so many other things into it. So once they got it going, they started adding more stuff to it on banned and prohibited and whatever. And the list was so ridiculous, like a 9mm semi-auto rifle. Like it was essentially down to they were going to allow nothing but pretty much bolt action.
Okay.
Like if it had a magazine, nope, couldn't have it. So it'd be like single shot, and it's like all the hunters, all the indigenous, they're just like, well, how do you expect us to do this? Like you're saying you're saying this is about, safety. Well, we're hunting. Like,
yeah.
it's now not safe for us to go hunting because we have a single shot bolt action. It was unreal. It was just unbelievable. And then all of a sudden, there was such a backlash from the hunters and the indigenous and the whatever. The whole thing collapsed. So quite frankly, I don't know where it stands now, but it has completely disappeared from the media. And other than having legally purchased handguns coming into the country, nothing's really changed. And it's not even a law. It's just order in council. It's a parliamentary, no more handguns into the country. But
Jesus.
That's all that's happened. It never became law. So yeah, we're still not Britain. Mind you, they got their own problems.
Not yet.
Oh wait, looks like Nick's mic is active again.
Yeah, he's still here.
Am I allowed to speak, Paul?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say things?
Yes, you can say things.
If I make you upset, will you send me out of the stream again?
No.
If I'm good, can I stay?
You call me daddy. War daddy.
Oh, well. That ain't never going to happen.
Yeah, call me war daddy.
War daddy.
I'll hold my breath.
Jesus. I'll call you Abdullah with that fucking beard.
Look,
Now you'll just get Mish all upset.
Salam alaikum.
Assalamualaikum salam. Whatever.
Something. Aloha snack bar.
I'm still eating the bacon. I don't give a fuck.
Well, the what you guys are saying about Canada and gun laws is the problem with all this, this we just want to wipe the slate clean and we're going to start over from scratch kind of stuff, is that it's kind of the same problem that you run into in software development when, people are like, I'm tired of all these little patches and these little exceptions. Let's wipe the slate clean and just, build the platform all over again from scratch. Sometimes that's necessary in software, but most of the time when that happens, what people don't realize is that all those little, situational patches and all that other kind of shit, was there to correct a problem along the way after they passed the original law or after they built the original platform. And there are always so many unintended consequences of this kind of shit. As CD was, pointing out about, hunting with single shot rifles and shit, that most legislators, particularly those who've never, hunted much or, had much to do with guns in the past, they have no clue what all that shit's about. No. They're not even aware that stuff even exists. And so they get in there and they start, they can make a good speech about it and make it sound good and it'll get a lot of people to cheer. But then when you actually have to sit down and do the fucking work, it's almost impossible to not do it in such a way that either inconveniences, pisses off, or both such a large section of the population that they can't just, they can't just be heavy-handed and do it without a huge backlash. And that's how these cycles go. That's why they've quieted down a lot in America, is because it happens so much that people have realized that, it's such a fucking Pandora's box once you open it that it's easier just to maintain the status quo because nobody can come up with something, better politically. And I think that's probably what happened in Canada.
Well, it's partially that, and then also like here in America, they've overplayed their hand too.
Yeah,
and
very much so.
It's starting to, yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think regardless of which country it is, there was a news article tweeted the other day about the United States where some whatever governor or senator was going on about, like, well, I was just in Texas the other day and I just picked up 3 M16s, and somebody's went, no, you didn't. You're a complete liar. Your credibility is blown because you can't do that.
All right.
But
that's exactly right.
It's not about the truth. It's not about what it affects. It's not about safety. It's not about anything. It's about virtue signaling and getting to wave your flag of what a hero you are. And they use all trigger words. Classic example: assault rifle. Define that. What do you want to ban? What defines an assault rifle? At this point, assault rifle has come down to color.
Well, it's, what happened here in America is that there is a specific definition for assault rifle and nobody has any. So they came up with assault weapon instead so that they could create a black plastic boogeyman, because an assault rifle,
a new subcategory.
A new subcategory that doesn't actually exist. It's an emotional term. It's not even a specification. So that's exactly what you were saying. You're exactly right. So
try the comedy of this. So we, of course, being 10 times your population and right next door, we get all your news. So all the shootings and the blah, blah, blah. And so the Canadian media is all lit up about AR-15s and blah, 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 blah. Nobody bothers to look at the actual law, and that's been a prohibited, restricted weapon since 1977. But it doesn't matter because that doesn't help their argument to ban everything.
Right.
Like, it's just unreal. Like, because it's virtue signaling and trigger words and, it's essentially clickbait, except it's political clickbait, virtue signaling clickbait, whatever snowflake club of the month wants to get on the front page, they just bring up the trigger word.
Well, it's how you get votes, and it's how you get campaign contributions. And
well, I tweeted earlier today that I was noticing on Twitter that about 6 or 7 weeks ago, there was a big run where a lot of stuff was all about, what do they call it? It's not the pedo word. It's anyway.
Groomer?
Groomer?
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's where the next step was. So it started off as that pedo. And then suddenly within a couple of weeks, it was all about grooming. And now if you look at Twitter now, like this last week, it's all about older men, younger women. Well, where do you think that narrative's going? Where do you think that narrative's going? Think about it for a second. In 6 weeks, they're going to start equating pedo to groomer to, how much younger can she be? And then suddenly you're canceled because you're a groomer. Like, it's unbelievable how quickly they're accelerating this crap.
Well, they've already been trying
if you're
to do
somebody
this,
like, except if you're an outspoken liberal hero like Paul Simon, who's married to somebody who's 25 years younger than him, because he married, I don't know if you remember Edie Brickell and New Bohemians, but they were popular briefly back in like 1991, and he married that chick. He's 25 years older than her, and he never got any of that shit because he's a leftist hero, so it's selectively applied.
But it was back then, right? And he's got enough money.
It hasn't changed. It hasn't changed though. It doesn't matter.
Well, but he's got enough money to hide too, right? See Epstein for details, right? There weren't a lot of plumbers going to that island.
That's right.
That was Mr. Gates and the Kennedys and that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, it's all for the for the protected group, the protected class, for sure.
Yeah.
The
worrisome part is that
shit.
That group is getting smaller with more. I mean, when there's recessions and whatever, governments don't take money and burn it up. It's the same amount of money in circulation. It's just fewer people. It's just a redistribution. And the redistribution problem we're having right now is more of it is going to fewer. And that's just increasing the dominance and the who's controlling what, whether it's media or politics or, you know, we talk about the Russians and their oligarchs. They're living among us. We just don't call them that. We call them the owner of Microsoft. And
they can redistribute these nuts in their mouth, though. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, Stephen Hawking, I mean, you know, the dude had some
I mean, he kind of deserves that trip, though, you know.
Oh, yeah.
He deserves that fucking trip.
I mean, you know, as long as she was legal wherever he was, you know, I can give
He gets a
Hawking
pass.
a pass.
He's a fucking quadriplegic. Like, come on, bro.
All I gotta say is he needed to have paid her well, you know.
He probably did.
Or
if
you want to pretend you're on Twitter, that was solid game, man. He had game
it doesn't
nailed.
matter.
Nothing
Like
else.
at that point, dude, you're like in a wheelchair. Like you're driving that wheelchair by the breath of your mouth, by your fucking eyes, dude. It's like you got to get your nuts somehow. I can't fault the man for trying.
No,
You know, somebody, you know, it was, you know, several months back, and you know, like mid 2022, I had, you know, I'd stumbled across some stupid thread on Twitter where, you know, this chick was like, you know, if you're 30 years old and dating somebody who's 19, then, you know, you're a fucking, you know, you're just as bad as a pedo or whatever else. And, and I asked, and all I did, you know, and I knew this was going to blow up, and I wanted it to, because back then I was still trying to, I still had my original account. So I was still trying to get some attention for it. And this is probably the last move I made to try to do that. But I just said, all right, so what's the right age then? You know, if she's a legal adult at 18 and you'd think that's too young, then what's the right age? And so this chick wouldn't ever say, you know, what the right age was. She all she came back with was, you know, look at you just trying to make it an issue about how much you can get away with. I was like, that's not it at all. I said, I don't really give a shit. If somebody's a legal adult, I don't really care what they do. It's their decision. That's what being a legal adult means.
Yeah, you can drive a car, you can vote, you can,
You know, should we lower the drinking age? Should we raise the, you know, military age? Or, you know, should we make all this shit the same age so that you have to be, you know, 25 to serve in the military, drink and fuck? I mean, what should it be?
Yeah.
And there was never an answer for that. There was just always, you know, irateness at the idea of a 19-year-old dating a 30-year-old. So
it's wrong. Okay, define why. And they got nothing. And you know what you can tell about the person who created that?
They ain't getting any anyway.
And they're not 18, because if they were still 18, they'd be dating the 30-year-old guy.
Right. Well, I mean, you know,
he's got more going on.
Yep.
But now they're grumpy because the 30-year-old guy won't hit on them because they can get the 18-year-old just like they did when they were a kid. Like,
they're grumpy.
The hypocrisy is just unbelievable.
Well, I mean, there's a double standard. There's always been a double standard.
Oh, I think there's more than two.
You know, but the thing is, like, who gives a shit? They're just like,
no, absolutely. Like,
whenever I see a woman on Twitter or see a fucking girl in her 30s bitching about this and that and the other, I scroll past it, man. Like, it doesn't even bother me. It evokes no emotion in me whatsoever.
No, I know, and that's just. I haven't quite got to that. Let it burn. I can see it's burning, but I haven't walked away yet. Like, I haven't turned my back on the fire yet.
I mean,
Yeah.
generally it doesn't matter, but the problem with it is that it reflects this mentality of prolonging childhood and adolescence until you got one foot in the grave. And
Yeah.
it's like when we came up, because I know you and I, are old enough, to remember this, if not Bull, but I think where Bull was raised probably puts him in this category too. My parents wanted me to grow up when it was time to grow up. It wasn't like they didn't want to keep me down. They wanted me to be more independent. They wanted me to take more responsibility. They wanted me to figure out shit for myself because they didn't want to be taking care of me the rest of my life. And that was the
Right.
general attitude, at least amongst all my friends and my friends' dads that I knew when I was coming up.
And I didn't want to be taken care of for the rest of my life.
Right,
Like,
right.
I
Most
wanted to be.
most boys, this was true of me. This is true of my brother, my sons, and pretty much everybody else I knew back in the day. You hit that age and, let me cut the grass, let me chop the wood,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
they once they find out how that it's hard work, they may decide to balk at it.
But
And
it was the whole idea of let me assert my autonomy.
Well, when they balk at it, that's when you say, no, you wrote the check. Now you're going to cash it, buddy. And that was
Yep.
part of what, made them learn what responsibility was. It wasn't, oh, I'm going to hold this kid accountable and make him do hard work. It was, when they're ready for it and they ask for it, then they get it, but then they have to follow through with it. And what I saw happening with a lot of my kids' friends and their parents was that, you almost have to beat that out of a boy. It's almost like, oh no, this is too grown up for you. Just go play your video games or whatever else. And
Yeah, that makes it worse.
You can do it
Like,
someday.
makes
And
shit
so then what you're inadvertently teaching that kid, that boy, young man, is that, A, it's okay to be useless, and B, there's plenty of time to do it later, which just teaches them procrastination. And then C, it's just a general attitude that, that it really doesn't matter and I probably can't do it anyway. And why not get somebody else to do it for me? And, you get 10 years of that shit. That's probably hard to break out of, and that's not the way I was raised. That's not the way I raised my kids. And even with my kids, it was still, I had to be conscious of, getting them to follow through on shit because, that's, if you want to get back to talk about what your job as a dad is or as a parent is, that's part of it. Is like, no, you're going to finish this because you started it.
You started it. Totally.
Yeah. And so, that's the thing that I'm concerned about is that it's, we've gotten in this thing where, well, don't worry about it, take care of it later. This isn't, this is too grown up for you. And it's like, fuck that shit. When I was 6 years old, I wanted a goddamn knife. I wanted to cut the grass. I wanted to go shoot some animals. I want to go catch some fish. I want to do all that kind of shit. And,
it's the infantilization of our young adults.
Yeah, of everybody, really.
Well, but it's the participation medal syndrome too, right? Where just for showing up, you win.
The thing that bothers me, my kids kind of, they didn't really do that where I was. They did a little bit, but with my kids, they got participation trophies for baseball, and then they just pretty much threw them in their closet and never looked at them again. So it didn't really mean anything to them because we still, but see, the difference is that we still kept score. Now my grandkids, when they're playing like T-ball, they wouldn't run the scoreboard. They wouldn't keep score.
Right.
And so, but the kids still kept score because they knew how many home runs, they knew how many runs each side scored. They knew what the score was, even if the adults didn't. And that's kind of the problem with that is that, there's nothing wrong with, it's important to lose and learn how to, get up the next day and get back at it again, because there are times in life you're going to get the shit beat out of you, You know, you got to be able to get back up and know how to respond to defeat.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know.
Well, but we have the advantage of having parents that.
Isn't that kind of weird though? Like, even though the parents aren't keeping count, the kids are.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's human nature, but I mean, there's going to be generations, and it's going to come pretty quickly, where the adults won't have the skill set to deal with their kids' loss because they never had to deal with it. You know, like you don't. I mean, God, Bull and Nick, like I know your dads knew the skill set when you took a shit kicking or had a bad game or missed a fucking squirrel at 100 yards, or you know what I mean? It just kind of went, hey, let's just slow down. Not the end of the world. You had find some optimism, find something to build on, and not get all down.
I got my ass kicked. I don't know what the fuck.
I totally get it. But I mean,
well, you know, in my case,
way.
it was the exact opposite. It was just like, you know, oh well, you know, you're not going to kill them all. You know, it's like,
yeah, but that's the whole point.
That's just shit happens. You know.
Yeah, like I got, I just got, that's a tough loss. Walk it off. That was the Saskatchewan School of Medicine. Walk it off, which is why I had shoulder surgery. But
like you lose a game or something. Yeah, that shit happens.
Yeah,
so it's like,
and you just walk it off.
When I was growing up, it was like, how the fuck do you miss that? How the fuck do you miss that fucking squirrel at 50 yards with a 22?
Well, you know,
what are you doing?
You know, I did drag my kids a little bit sometimes when it was, you know, just because everybody got dragged. So if you're not getting dragged, you know, you're not part of the crowd anyway. So, you know,
it's almost like if it doesn't happen, you're almost like, does dad not love me anymore?
Exactly. Well, there's a lot of there's an inverse correlation there that I'm not smart enough to figure out, but you're exactly right.
But the other thing, Nick, is like if that's your dad dragging you through the mud over a game, he's teaching you about, you know, man-to-man shit talk, right? Where you give each other a hard time, and like that's how.
Well, I mean, giving
each
other
guys deal with each other.
Giving each other a hard time is actually a way of lessening the seriousness of what happened.
Absolutely, and that's how guys. That's how guys support each other. Like the level of treatment and the words I got and the actions I got between my dad watching me lose a game or my mom watching me lose a game didn't even matter if it was a loss or a win. My mom found positive, supportive, soft pillows for me to land on. And even if we won a tournament, dad went, oh, that left winger handed you your ass in the second period. He made you look like an idiot. Just sort of that little bit of balance, you know, like when you're up, they'll kind of bring you back to earth. And when you're down, they'll sort of bring you back up. That's a skill set that only I've never seen anybody but a man do it.
You know, Zach says the real misogyny is trying to say an 18-year-old can't make her own adult decisions. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's the problem. That's kind of the point is, you know, instead of, expecting young people to be responsible for their decisions as soon as it makes sense, you know, they want to prolong it just because they can't handle the consequences of fucking up. And it's like, hey, you know, she was 18 and, you know, she went out and had sex with some dude without a rubber and, you know, she got pregnant. That's what happens in life. You know, it's the same thing as what you said earlier, Bull, about, you know, kids keeping score, but parents not. It's like kids are still tuned into the reality of what's going on. And it's the parents who end up not being happy with that reality. So they want to make it something else because they just don't want to have to deal with, some kid who's upset because he lost.
Right.
And, that doesn't get us anywhere as individuals. Now, whether that has a huge impact on society or not, I'm not going to speculate because I don't know.
Well,
but
that's like whenever I was playing football in high school and shit. It's like my dad, because my dad used to film my games and shit, and he used to watch me and stuff. And he's like, "Yeah, you did really good during the game." It's like, "Yeah, you got the quarterback," and I'm like, "Yeah, but we still lost. I don't care. Like, I don't care about the sack. We still fucking lost. I was still keeping score. I don't care about my individual performance. I care about whether we won or lost, and that's the bottom line."
When I played football and I played sports, I mean, I did care if I sucked. I wanted to do better next time, but it was never anything. It was never anything that I internalized and dwelled on and obsessed about for days or hours. Even it was
no.
It was like, oh man, I fucked up. We lost, and then the next time I tried harder not to fuck up, and that was all it was.
Yeah.
There was almost zero emotional component to it.
Well, yeah, it's like when you went in on Saturday mornings and you watch game film from the night before. It's like you got your O-line, D-line coach sitting there like, yeah, you got your ass handed to you on this play. It's like, yeah, I did. Okay.
Well, I'd go in there and mine would be like, mine would just look over at me and he'd say something like,
"This is smart ass shit." Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, August, you got there kind of slow. What, your tampon dry out or something? That's the kind of shit they would say to us. And, quite honestly, maybe I was born with a weird gene or something, but I just thought that was, I mean, I just laughed. I was like, yeah, I guess so. It was like, and the next, the next time I was like, whatever, he'd say some kind of, he'd talk some shit again later.
Were you on a walker on this sweet pass, dude? What the fuck is going on?
So like, it's like, nobody cared about that shit back then. And it's just
like
just funny to me.
You took the criticism. And it's like, okay.
It's like, well, I was slow, I was too slow getting there, and I, that fucked it up. And, instead of clinically saying, all right, August, now, you've got to get there faster. How does that motivate anybody? But if,
Right.
you sit there,
It's not, man.
telling you to
Not
take
how
out
you
your
motivate.
take out your tampon so you can run.
Totally.
Not how you motivate young men or men at all.
my Nick Jr. was in high school. He wasn't skinny, he wasn't overweight or anything. He was just your typical, he had your typical, build, and he used to come out of his bedroom with his shirt off, and he'd come out here and he'd stand in front of the fireplace and he'd be like, he'd start doing this shit and flexing his chest or flexing his biceps and shit. And every time he did that, I would make a bird sound. And he was like, what's that mean? I said, it's because you got a bird chest. It's a nice bird chest you got there.
And just sunk in.
He was like, you asshole. But he started working out, and now he's got muscles coming out of muscles. And
yes, I was going to ask you how much the therapy cost you.
There was no therapy because he just started lifting, and
that fucking weight room was his fucking therapy. That's what that was.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, it was like, hey, I didn't. It's not like I walked into his bedroom and I said, boy, you got a sunken little bird chest there, you big pussy. But if he's gonna come out here and put it in everybody's face, he deserves a little bit of something.
It's got to be done. It's got to be done.
It's like, I love you, kid, but you ain't got nothing there to be proud of right now.
Right.
So he decided he wanted to look good with his shirt off. So I got him a gym membership and he started lifting,
Yeah.
What's the
my dad got me. He never got me a gym membership. He just made me fucking bale hay.
That always works.
Yeah.
He gave me some fucking bail. He gave me some fucking bail hooks. He gave me bail hooks. He's like, "There's that stack there. Get to it."
Look, honestly, if I had to do it all over again, I would probably make them, split wood and do more shit like that. But my kids grew up. My kids grew up. We were just, hunting, fishing, camping, doing shit outside, building shit in the yard. I mean, that was just part of how we lived. So there wasn't anything to break them out of. And my kids, when I started, I bought them, Nintendo 64 and shit like that. And I, there were a couple of times where I probably told them they needed to limit how much they play just because they had other shit going on. But most of the time, they'd play that shit for 30 minutes or something and an hour and get bored with it. And they'd go outside and, where I live,
that's the way we were.
We had acres and acres of woods behind our house. I had a little shotgun range back there. We could shoot bows. They could, build shit. They had tools and wood and, all that shit was always way more interesting to them than video games were. They enjoyed video games, but I never had to just say, oh, here's what you have to do. Because, if you're a kid, if you grow up, you have a choice between, going shooting guns with your dad or playing some video game. Most kids are going to choose guns. Most kids are going to choose going and doing that shit with their dad. So if I had to do anything over again, I would just do more of that.
Especially when my old man came out into the backyard with his fucking Ruger 44. We knew it was game on. We were about to have some fun. He's like, go get some cinder blocks. We're like, yes, sir.
I mean, there are a lot of, my great grandfather would probably say that my kids are soft because, the shit that they had to do when they were kids, it was like, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start, fucking with the cows and the chickens and all that other shit before they went to school. And my kids didn't have to do that. My kids got to sleep till, an hour before it was time to take a hot shower and go to school. So, a lot of that is relative. Yeah, well,
It's been nice, bro.
Alabama's more civilized than Texas, I guess.
Yeah, fucking hogs and chickens got to eat first before you did.
I worked with a guy back when I worked construction. I worked with the guy that was my, I was his helper, and he was actually the age I am now, but he looked like he was about fucking 80 because he'd been, he just had a hard life. He worked manual labor his entire life, 12 hours a day kind of shit. And he would we would be in the truck going to a job site, and sometimes it would be like 2 hours away. And so he would tell me all these stories about him growing up over around Tuscaloosa, a little town called Northport. And it's right there on the river. And his dad had a farm, so they had a farm, and then his dad also worked in a factory on the graveyard shift, I think. So, his dad would work the farm, have some supper, go to work in the factory, come home, grab a couple hours of sleep, and then get back out to work on the farm again. And Al, that was his name. When he was a kid, his job was, to get up, however early, or to do certain shit before he went to bed. And then he had other shit he had to do the next day. So he would get up early and do that shit. But there was, he used to tell me that there was one time where he just decided he was gonna slack off and not do it before bed. He would just do it in the morning. And he said he was in bed at like 3 a.m, and his daddy came in his room, yanked the covers off the bed, and whatever that list of chores he was supposed to do, he made him put on his boots and go out there, in his long johns and fucking do it at 3 o'clock in the morning because he didn't do it when he was supposed to. And he said, growing up, he said he saw his dad, he didn't spend a lot of time with his dad because his dad was always working to put food on the table. And yet, he grew up fine. He got married, had daughter, ended up becoming a pharmacist, and, he worked hard his whole life, took care of his family, and, all that kind of trad shit that, people either like to glorify or shit on. But, growing up hard like that with a lot of expectations and, not a dad who sat him on his lap and hugged him all the time, he lived a decent long life and had a better life than most probably do on the planet. So, the idea that, somehow, instead of instead of going in that direction where we need to expect more from kids and enforce it, we're at the other end of the spectrum where it's like we need to expect as little as possible, as long as they don't, they don't have to be exposed to anything that might hurt their feelings or have consequences that mom and dad can't fix. And that is, again, I don't know whether I'm suspicious of people that make general pronouncements about society and about everything else, but I know that as individuals that makes a difference because I've seen.
I'll take it a step further. I have a grievous hatred for motherfuckers that do that shit, man.
Yeah.
Like I'm just completely cynical. But what do you think about Zach's fucking question here? What's the best way to break young men out of a soft mentality?
Well,
I don't know. I don't think you can. I think people have to do that for themselves. I don't think you can break somebody out of it.
I think you can challenge them or try to challenge them, but whether they take that shit up, I don't know, man. It's hard because I don't have a son. I have a daughter. I have a girl child.
Me too.
I can't say for an individual.
Well, it's kind of like there's some things in life where you get far enough down a road, and the only person that can change that is you, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's kind of where we are now, because once it's a lot easier to prevent the soft mentality than it is to break it. And
I think it's kind of a good sign, especially it's kind of a good sign as a parent that you've done fairly well with your kid whenever they want to fucking leave your house and they can't wait to get the fuck out of there. 'Cause that's the way I was with my folks. I wanted to go. I wanted to get the fuck out of their house. I went to the Marines. I was like, I want to get out of here. And they were even the recruiters were like, they were looking at my they were looking at my SATs and my high school or my grades and stuff. They're like, "You sure you don't want to go OCS?" I'm like, "Nope. No, I'm gonna leave right now." Like, okay. But it's not because I had a bad. I never had a bad. Thing with my parents. I love my parents, but I just want to fucking leave, man. Like, get the fuck out of there.
Me too. But when I was 18, I was like, I'm calling my own shots.
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly.
Yeah, I was willing to pay the consequences.
Would you do this? Would you encourage the exact same thing from your daughter? I got a daughter. You got a daughter. I'm not sure that I want them to bolt at 18. In fact, I would probably recommend against it.
The thing about it is with my daughter, because like my daughter's a lot like me, and I don't think what I wanted and what she was going to do are completely separate things. And I think there would be very little reach that I would have with if she was going to want to do something, she's going to fucking do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think mine's the same.
I think by that age, by the time she was 18, 19 years old or whatever, like I have very little control over what she's going to do.
Well, I didn't have daughters and, I had sons, but
I think girls and boys are different.
I'm kind of with Rib on that. I do think boys and girls are different. And I do think that if it's possible, if it works out that way, I think it's way better for girls to stay home until they,
Oh, I do too.
I'm very much
the reality of it is, it's like if she's gonna fucking bail, if she's gonna run off, then
no.
I'm very much a tradcon when it comes to that kind of what you should do with your daughters.
Yeah, my preference would be for, if I had one, which I don't, but I would suggest that boys got to be gone within the first, year or two into university, just to give them a head start if you can. But daughter hangs out till she's done, got whatever she needs for school, kind of gets her poop in a group. Guys are a little more.
Well, there's ideology, and then there's the way shit really is,
you can't. I mean, it goes back to the government being the one true patriarch. If you can't, and again, I'm not advocating for this. This is an illustration, but if you can't drag your woman through the town square by your hair and slap her across the face because she disrespected you, you don't live in a patriarchy. That's my point. So if the government is the one true patriarch, and women are ultimately have the option to make the government their daddy, then you're right. You don't necessarily have control over that, but that doesn't mean that you don't necessarily, because I've known plenty of people who've raised their daughters, and their daughters went to college and did all that shit, and they pretty much stayed home though until they were married, and for them it worked out because things went well for them. The parents had their act together, and nothing nefarious happened, and for the most part, they made it go that way. I think that's great when that happens. I really do. But, for boys, it's just the opposite. Boys need to get out and, and learn how to handle their shit. And I think they need to do it as soon as possible. And, my kids, both of mine pretty much went that way. And, I'm not saying that their lives are perfect, that they're perfect, or that I was a perfect dad, but that has served them well in making them more independent.
Don't get me wrong. Like, if my daughter was like, if she got to graduate high school and she's like, "Hey, Dad, I just want to stick around the house," and shit like that, I'd be like, "All right, cool." I'm not gonna be like, "No, bitch, you're out of the house because you're 18."
No,
go
no, I agree.
I wouldn't do that. I mean,
no, that would.
She's my baby girl. I'm not gonna say shit like that, dude.
Well, that would fuck her up.
Yeah.
Whereas with a boy, it'd be like, well, I mean, I didn't tell my boys, like, all right, fuck stick, get out of my house now. Yeah. It was more like, all right, here's the way we're going to do this. If you want to go to college and you put forth the effort, then, you can live at home if you want to. I'm not, right now, I'm not going to pay for a dorm and all that kind of shit.
I wouldn't either. I'd be like,
if you don't want to do that, then you need to get a job and you need to get out and live on your own and figure shit out. Or
you learn how to make that beef Wellington.
Or you need to join the military.
Wellington. Yeah,
not for boys.
Wellington.
Boys should.
Well, for my daughter, I'd be like, you got to perfect that beef
boys.
Wellington.
But with mine, it was like, and if you want to stay here, you're not going to be coming home drunk every night. You're going to have a full-time job. You're not going to be partying all the time and shit like that. You're going to keep it in some kind of proportion, and you're going to handle it like a man. And if you can't, then you're not going to stay here. And I, laid out all those kinds of rules for them, and they were like, "Oh yeah, fuck that. I'm going to go do my own thing." And I was like, "All right."
Yeah, because my dad was like, "Well, you're gonna start paying rent, and you're gonna throw in some money for groceries and stuff." And I was fine for that. I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." I already had a job by then. I was like, well, "How much you want?" I pulled my wallet. I was like, "How much you want, old man?" It's like,
holy shit! All right, it's way past my bedtime. I got to bounce.
Yeah, we got to go.
Get out here.
Give me all the money's worth. I'll get the fuck out of here. You got anything, Nick?
Nah.
No. CD? No.
I got nothing to plug. I'm good.
I got nothing either. Y'all fucking go enjoy y'all's weekend. Have sex. Have lots of sex, and enjoy yourselves.
That's fantastic.
That's all we got.